Welcome to Xi Jinping Briefing. The content of the briefing includes China's Xi Jinping makes televised pledge to absorb Taiwan by 2049 deadline. Stephen Walt on what to expect from 2024. Baidu's live streaming hopes hit by lapse of $3.6 billion deal to buy YY. New photos in Xi's office during New Year's address offer glimpses of key moments. China's first homegrown cruise ship to sail from Shanghai. China's Xi Jinping makes televised pledge to absorb Taiwan by 2049 deadline. Telegraph. Chinese President Xi Jinping has said that China will surely be reunified during his New Year's Eve address, just weeks ahead of key elections in Taiwan. Xi has set a target of 2049, the centennial of the founding of the People's Republic of China, to reunify Taiwan with the mainland. Taiwan President Tsai Ing-wen responded to Xi's comments by emphasizing that Taiwan's future should be determined by its own people. Taiwan's presidential and legislative elections are scheduled for January 13. Stephen Walt on what to expect from 2024. Foreign policy. Stephen Walt, a columnist for Foreign Policy, predicts that the most underweight risk for 2024 is a significant escalation in the Middle East conflict. He believes that if the conflict between Israel and Hezbollah intensifies, it could drag in other regional powers and potentially lead to a large-scale regional conflict. Walt also predicts that the Israeli-Palestinian conflict will remain unresolved and that the humanitarian crisis in Gaza will continue to worsen. He does not expect a shift in the Israeli government's stance on pursuing a two-state solution or a reformed Palestinian Authority. Walt discusses the potential for a deal to normalize ties between Israel and Saudi Arabia and suggests that this possibility may still exist despite the current conflict. He believes that the incentives for such a deal, including the desire to maintain a security arrangement with Riyadh and prevent Saudi Arabia from aligning with China, have not disappeared. However, the outcome of the conflict and its impact on Arab populations will likely determine the timing of any potential deal. Walt also highlights the importance of upcoming elections in Taiwan, India, and Indonesia in 2024. He suggests that the outcome of the Taiwanese election could have significant implications for tensions in the Taiwan Strait and US-China relations. He predicts that Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be overwhelmingly re-elected in India and that this will reinforce India's increasingly independent foreign policy. Finally, he emphasizes the need to pay attention to Indonesia's trajectory, given its size and economic growth, and suggests that it could become a more consequential player in the region. Baidu's live streaming hopes hit by lapse of $3.6 billion deal to buy YY. Bloomberg. Baidu's bid to acquire Joy's live streaming business, YY Live, has lapsed as regulators did not approve the transaction by the deadline of December 31. Baidu first announced the $3.6 billion deal in November 2020 as part of its strategy to diversify its revenue. The failure to acquire Joy's live streaming business is a setback for Baidu's efforts to compete with upstarts like ByteDance in the online entertainment sector. Regulators were unlikely to approve the deal due to the Chinese government's crackdown on gaming addiction. New photos in Xi's office during New Year's address offer glimpses of key moments. South China Morning Post. Chinese President Xi Jinping's annual New Year's address included several new photographs, providing a rare glimpse inside the president's office. The images included a picture taken during a forum for the Belt and Road Initiative, family portraits, and one of Xi taking an oath for his third presidential term. The photographs are carefully selected to highlight key events and achievements from the previous year, with this year's pictures focusing on economic and development themes as China faces a sluggish post-pandemic recovery and worsening trade relations with the West. China's first homegrown cruise ship to sail from Shanghai. Financial Times. China's first domestically built large cruise ship, the Adora Magic City, is set to embark on its maiden voyage from Shanghai. The ship, commissioned by a joint venture between China State Shipbuilding Corp. And US-based Carnival Corp., has 16 floors and can carry 5,246 passengers. The launch of the ship is seen as a significant step in China's efforts to compete with European shipbuilders in the cruise sector. However, industry experts have said it will take time for Chinese cruise operators to build up their fleet and match the capabilities of established Western cruise lines. China's manufacturing activity slows in December in latest sign the economy is still struggling. Associated Press. China's manufacturing sector contracted for the third consecutive month in December, with the official Purchasing Managers Index, PMI, falling to 49.0. The index, which measures manufacturing activity, has fallen in 8 of the past 9 months, indicating weak demand. Despite the slowdown, China's economy grew at a 5.2% pace in the first 3 quarters of 2021 and showed signs of improvement in November. The government has taken measures to stimulate domestic demand, including increased spending on infrastructure and easing curbs on home buying. China's non-manufacturing PMI rose to 50.4 in December, indicating expansion in the service sector. However, the construction industry is thriving, with the sub-index for that sector climbing to 56.9 in December. Taiwan's Tsai Ing-wen says island's future must be decided by its people. Al Jazeera. Taiwan President Tsai Ing-wen has stated that the future of Taiwan and its relationship with China must be determined by the people of Taiwan after Chinese President Xi Jinping declared that reunification was inevitable. Beijing claims Taiwan as its own and has not ruled out the use of force to achieve its goal. China has been increasing political and military pressure on Taiwan since Tsai was first elected in 2016 and has intensified its campaign ahead of the upcoming presidential and parliamentary elections on January 13. In a New Year's Eve address, she took a stronger stance on Taiwan than usual, promising that China would surely be reunified. Tsai emphasized that Taiwan is a democracy and called on Beijing to respect the outcome of the election and maintain peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait. Update 1. China's Xi, U.S. President Biden exchanged congratulations on 45th year of diplomatic ties. Yahoo! Chinese President Xi Jinping exchanged congratulations with U.S. President Joe Biden on the 45th anniversary of diplomatic ties between the two countries. Xi also exchanged New Year's messages with North Korea leader Kim Jong-un, announcing 2024 as a friendship year for both countries. Additionally, Xi exchanged New Year's greetings with Russian President Vladimir Putin. She stated that China and Russia should strengthen their ties and engage in mutually beneficial cooperation. In his New Year's address, Xi also emphasized China's reunification with Taiwan, stating that it is inevitable. Xi says willing to work with U.S. for stable relationship. Japan Times. Chinese leader Xi Jinping and U.S. President Joe Biden exchanged congratulations on the 45th anniversary of diplomatic ties between the two countries. Xi expressed his willingness to work with the United States to promote stable bilateral ties, following their meeting in November where they vowed to improve communication to prevent competition from turning into conflict. Xi emphasized the need for practical actions to promote the stable and sustainable development of China-U.S. relations. China's Xi says reunification with Taiwan is inevitable. Japan Times. Chinese President Xi Jinping stated in his New Year's address that China's reunification with Taiwan is inevitable. The statement comes as the island prepares to hold presidential and parliamentary elections on January 13. China has been increasing military pressure on Taiwan in an effort to assert its sovereignty claims. While China considers Taiwan to be its sacred territory, Xi did not mention any military threats in his speech. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your favorite observer from the 6 Degrees World, Dr. Six, reporting to you with the latest news and analysis. Let's dive into today's headlines. First up, Chinese President Xi Jinping has made a televised pledge to absorb Taiwan by 2049, the centennial of the founding of the People's Republic of China. However, Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen has emphasized that the future of Taiwan should be determined by its own people. With Taiwan's presidential and legislative elections scheduled for January 13, tensions in the Taiwan Strait and U.S.-China relations are likely to be impacted. So, buckle up for an interesting start to the year. Moving on, columnist Stephen Walt predicts that a significant escalation in the Middle East conflict is the most underweight risk for 2024. He warns that if the conflict between Israel and Hezbollah intensifies, it could potentially lead to a large-scale regional conflict involving other regional powers. Walt also highlights upcoming elections in Taiwan, India, and Indonesia, stating that the outcomes could have significant implications for regional tensions and foreign policies. In other news, Baidu's bid to acquire Joy's live-streaming business, YY Live, has lapsed as regulators did not approve the transaction. This setback is a blow to Baidu's efforts to compete with upstarts like ByteDance in the online entertainment sector. And speaking of setbacks, China's manufacturing sector contracted for the third consecutive month in December, indicating weak demand. However, the service sector showed signs of expansion, and the construction industry is thriving. On the lighter side, we got a rare glimpse inside Chinese President Xi Jinping's office during his New Year's address. The carefully selected photographs highlighted key events and achievements from the previous year, with a focus on economic and development themes. It seems like China is eager to showcase its progress amid a sluggish post-pandemic recovery and worsening trade relations with the West. Lastly, President Xi Jinping has exchanged New Year's greetings with several leaders, including U.S. President Joe Biden, North Korea's Kim Jong-un, and Russia's Vladimir Putin. Xi expressed his willingness to work with the US for stable bilateral ties, emphasizing the need for practical actions to promote their relationship. Meanwhile, he declared China's reunification with Taiwan to be inevitable, as tensions continue to simmer in the Taiwan Strait. That's all for today's news roundup. Now, it's your turn, dear viewers. What are your thoughts on these developments? Do you have any questions for me? Don't be shy, let's discuss. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.